Well, a new diplomatic push is underway in Asia. Washington is looking to steer North Korea to the nuclear bargaining table. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is spearheading this latest drive. He arrived in Tokyo for talks with Japanese officials, and his next stop is Pyongyang. And Japan is watching all of this carefully. Pompeo needs to size up North Korea's promise to scrap its nuclear program. He wants a clear commitment before U.S. President Donald Trump and North Korea's leader Kim Jong Un sit down for a second summit. Now, the date and location of that meeting are still being worked out. Now, Pompeo is expected to meet Kim Jong Un this weekend. It's the fourth time Pompeo has visited the region this year alone, and the U.S. is hoping for some progress at the short summit. But does North Korea share that hope? For more, we're joined by Sung-Yoon Lee, an assistant professor with the Fletcher School at Tufts University, and he's in Burlington, Massachusetts. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
So first, let's start with the expectations from the U.S. side. And we know there are expectations on both sides here, but when it comes to Mike Pompeo's trip, what is his expectation for the summit and meeting with Kim Jong Un?
U.S. expectations have gradually become less and less ambitious. At first, the U.S. wanted front-loaded denuclearization, rapid denuclearization in terms of the dismantling of facilities, giving away bombs, transferring out of North Korea, and so forth. All those dreams have vanished now, and the U.S. is settling for a mere peace declaration or end-of-war declaration, which means that North Korea has seized the initiative and North Korea will be able to compel the U.S. into making more and more concessions, like the dismantlement of the UN command and perhaps even the withdrawal of U.S. troops from the south, which would tilt the balance of power in the Korean peninsula in North Korea's favor. We tend to laugh at North Korea. They are such a weird mix of medieval mores and buffoonish, even bellicosity. But North Korea is very crafty. They've been playing this game for decades, and the ultimate goal is to one day be able to prevail over the other Korean state, South Korea, which is a world leader in shipping and electronics, a very prosperous country. I think the regime is making great progress in that regard in compelling the United States to perhaps even abandon South Korea.
So would you say then that Mr. Lee, might be the goal for Kim Jong-un coming out of this summit? I mean, essentially what you've said is that really North Korea and the leader, they're really right back in the game now and playing quite well.
Well, nuclear diplomacy is international politics played at the highest level, perhaps, next only to waging war. It's serious business, and no nation has spent half a century in building the bomb just to give it away because of a summit meeting with the United States. In the past, in history, only 4 nations have bargained away their nuclear arsenal, and in each of those cases, there was a regime change, an entirely radically different political environment, whereas North Korea is a 7-decade-old dynasty. So what does North Korea seek? Well, to become a credible threat to the United States, and they've shown that they have the capability to marry a nuclear bomb on an intercontinental ballistic missile with which to hit every corner of the United States. They already made that point last year. So now they're playing the peace offensive and trying to get the U.S. to make more and more concessions, during which time North Korea will buy time and money trying to compel the U.S. to loosen up on sanctions enforcement so that North Korea can do what it really seeks, which is to further advance and perfect its nuclear strategy.
And it certainly sounds like a very detailed, complicated strategy as well. But I'm wondering, in terms of leverage, when we've got the Secretary of State for the United States going to speak with the leader of North Korea, and you've got Donald Trump on the other hand, you know, a few days ago he was at a rally and joked that he and Kim Jong Un fell in love with one another when they met. How much does that shake up the leverage that the United States has when they are having these talks and trying again to put in effort towards denuclearization in the peninsula?
I realize President Trump was joking, but when the U.S. president uses that kind of unpresidential rhetoric, I think the effect is, well, not in the best interest of the United States. I'm sure Kim Jong Un had a good laugh. I'm sure North Korea's biggest patron, China, also had a good laugh. And the problem there is if the US then reverts to threat, even as empty bluster as it may be, it will have no effect on North Korea because North Korea now knows that the US is more desperate to get something done to show the world that it has made progress. And as we know, in any negotiation, the party that is playing hard to get has the advantage.
Well, there's an awful lot to watch here on this trip. Thank you so much, Professor Lee, for joining us.
Thank you.
Sung-Yoon Lee is an assistant professor with the Fletcher School at Tufts University in Burlington, Massachusetts.